Harlan. What's going on, buddy?
Wow, you guys are on fire. Oh my
Have you been
God.
listening this morning?
Yeah. A lot of these stocks you guys are talking about, they've been on my watch list, and we actually own them.
I knew it. I knew Harlan's all over this, combing the ditches, looking at those former Momos that became no-nos and are starting to look like Momos again. Which ones you got?
You just got to think rotation out of the most extended into, okay, who are we going to look at next? I mean, this is, just classic stuff. For me, it's all about daily charts pulling back off highs. That's where it's at. And you guys, you kind of hit on a lot of names. Look at Tesla. Tesla did the same thing. You had a nice, kind of pullback off highs, and bam, it broke right out of that. One could say it was, coiling up right there. So we bought it on the breakout the other day. Actually, we bought it a couple of days before. Nice. I was willing to be there versus having to chase a bus. DDD, nothing wrong with that one. We own that one. We actually bought it 50.64. So, here's that theme. XONE, missed that one, but you're right on the mark. You're right on the mark with all of this. These are the names that you got to start looking at. Who haven't we ran is where you want to start to look. But then, you got to have the structure. You can have a stock that's in the gutter and it can stay in the gutter. You got to get something that's some sort of catalyst that's going to go oomph. And, obviously it's volume. So, Candy, I've been watching that one for a couple of days.
Candy,
I like it.
Yeah.
Candy. Hey, Harlan, you mentioned there about kind of getting a running start. And I think that, Dennis, talks a lot, like he's looking at the plug power and stuff. What's your criteria? You said that, you didn't wait for the breakout. What is that, just your feel for trading, your experience in the markets? What makes you, because it's hard. I mean, because a lot of times when you buy those breakouts, you're waiting for some kind of heat. What criteria do you use? Do you go in with like a partial position or what? I mean, that 220 level was sticking out like a sore thumb in Tesla. He hit it, bumped his head up there a few times. So what criteria do you use if you're going to jump the gun on something?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, first off, you got to look at the overall market climate. Back when we were in that correction, if you bought strength on a gap up, you literally got it handed to you about a half hour later, wishing that you didn't do it. Well, we're in a different climate now. So, we're in an uptrending market right here, right now. How long that lasts, I don't know. Nobody does. I can say, you might have an upward bias this week because it's triple witch, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Yep.
Typically, you have an upward bias. But, so what is the overall backdrop of the market? What are stocks underneath the surface doing, from the indexes? You look at the indexes and they are what they are, but all the action is coming from underneath the surface. And when you see tons of stocks that are putting in bottoming patterns, coming up the right side of a cup crossover, you got to lean towards that. I'm willing to take the risk. If I'm buying an issue that's got the pattern, sometimes I will buy it ahead of the break. And you want to know why? Go take a look at gas log.
Which stock?
GLOG.
Oh yeah.
And this is another good example besides Tesla.
Yeah.
It's almost as if you have to be there in advance.
Because when they go, they go.
Well, they do. I mean, don't blink. I mean, if you look at gas log, I mean, if you weren't there in that pullback off highs right shoulder of a Head and Shoulders bottom, you missed it and you're chasing it. So we own that at 24.69. So plot it out on a chart and you can kind of see right where it comes in.
Kind of an ugly day yesterday, and then that big red bar there. Do you have it? Do you already out? Do you have a target price, trailing stop? Now that you got into these trades, and I know we've been talking with Nick Shaheen, and he's like, in this kind of environment, you got to book your profits. Are you more apt to let this run, perhaps up the former highs? You're moving a stop up. How do you manage the risk once you're in it?
Well, it's all chart pattern risk. For me, I'm looking at the chart pattern. All right, obviously you can see, it broke out at, let's just call it 25. All right, so old resistance now tends to become new support. If it breaks back into the base, you're pretty much going to want to say, well, I'm going to disappear on this. It obviously didn't work out. In worst cases, I, basically wash on my trade. But as far as this, this is, one could say it's a huge cup in the process of forming a handle here is what we need to see, and we're not seeing it yet. Now, so I'm going to try to give it the benefit of the doubt right in here. The strongest thing that could happen with GLOG is it just goes sideways and digests that most recent spike up. So, if a little bit of chart time can go by, goes sideways, and then it makes another run, well, one could say it's going to break out of a cup and handle if it puts in a handle here. All right, great. When it breaks out, I'll probably sell a big piece of my position. Probably won't sell it all, but, I was smart enough to buy the right shoulder when it crossed over with volume. So, I'm going to take those gains. I mean, 24 to 30 is huge in this kind of climate. So, but it could be a really big stock, but it's not going to happen overnight. Good things take time. So, but generally speaking, what's the overall climate? What's the chart patterns? I do like Candy. I'd like to see it pull back off its highs after this big, push that it just had. So, that's kind of where you got to start to look at things.
Just looking through the charts here, Harlan, while I'm on with you, I got one for you. Groupon. What do you think of this one, GRPN? It kind of looks itchy to me, too.
GRPN, hanging on. It's going sideways. I got nothing. You've got good support at like 520. One could say it's a quasi double bottom at 520-ish. For me now, it is bumping its head on the 50-day. So,
where's the 50? Where's the 50-day
you need to get
at?
It above that.
Yeah, where's that at?
Right. You just kind of draw a line across these levels here. If it can pull back off its highs 3, 4, 5 days, kind of like get a running start, and then start to get some good volume coming in, that would be your trigger to want to take the trades. So how about at home, ATHM?
Just before we move on,
what are you looking at?
He's going to go to ATHM in a second.
Oh, Auto Home.
Yeah, but look at this. To me, the 650 level in Groupon. I mean, that's the key.
That's what you got to get above.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it right now. It looks itchy to me, and when I say it looks itchy, it looks like it's ready to go. And sometimes you need to get it above that level, and then that'll kickstart it. So I agree, Joel. I think it gets above 650. I think it could be at 7 in a hurry. So it needs to get above there though.
Oh, and look at this sleeper.
Now, it'd be nice to see it go 3-4 days, and just kind of tighten up here.
Yeah.
Tighten up, coil. Those are the greatest. But, that's what I'd like to see, but the market doesn't care what I'd like to see. It's going to do what it wants to do, and I have no control over that.
You were looking at this ATHM. What are you looking at, Harlan, on it?
Well, it's pretty tight back in here the last, call it a month or so. You can see the last week or two, it's pulling right back off its highs. It's got support at 32. It's pulling back off its highs right here. Has a little bit of resistance up at, I'm going to call it just over 30, and right around 37-ish. So if this thing can break out of 38, that's a breakout of 1, 2, 3 month bottoming pattern, if you want to call it that. I'd call it a right side of cup crossover pattern. But it's setting up. It's going sideways. Has yet to actually take off and go. But you got to watch these things. You got to watch them before they go, so that when they do go, if they go, you're already prepared, and you don't have to go, what's going on with this company? You've already done your homework. It's there. You can take the trade really quick, versus just kind of on the fly.
So what are you looking at right now here? What do you think? What do you like just hawking? I used to always call my dad. We had a roofing company for years, and he'd always looking at, we called him Hawkeye. So I always say, what are you hawking? What are you looking at real intently there that you're thinking is getting ready to go?
Well, the ATHM Candy, KNDI, nice job on that one. When I logged in this morning, I heard you talking about it, and I'm going, yep, what can you say? The pattern looks good. RGSE? What was that one you were talking about?
Yeah, real good
RGSE
solar.
Group.
RGSE. Yeah, you
That,
think this one?
I like it. I mean, I knew nothing about it until, I logged in this morning, and that's kind of the reason that we all got to be here, is to get ideas, because in a market with, 20,000 stocks out there, you just can't find them all.
Two
So,
tickers for you,
um,
Harlan, before we let you go. Why Rob Hood always comes up with some good symbols. This stock has made a nice run here. Boy, that was a huge day yesterday for me. I would just like to see a continuation through that high. Any thoughts on why?
let's take a gander at that one. Yeah, it's following through. I think the thing I like about it the best, not right here, right now, if you own it, hey, congratulations, enjoy the ride. Line up your bottoms. That's your trend. As long as it's above that trend line, off the lows of, let's call it May, it's in an uptrend. There's nothing bad to say about it. One could even say, it just yesterday's action may have triggered it coming up the right side of a cup. So, if it does a bunny hop here, 2 steps forward, which it could be in the process of doing, 1 step back, the moment it changes, back to 2 steps forward, you could jump on it. I wouldn't be a buyer of it right here, right now. But, look at it back at the end of May. See it, you got 1, 2, 3 or 4 days where it pulled back off its highs. That's what you got to look for here. The other thing that jumps out at me is look at the May lows. Off of the March highs to the May lows. That's a clearly defined downtrend channel. And this thing really started waking up when it broke that downtrend to the upside. All downtrends eventually break to the upside, and if they don't, you don't want it. And so, you got to use these trend lines, trend channels. If this issue puts in a pullback off highs, for me, 3, 4, 5 days, it's going to hit my radar really quick. But if you own it, just line up your bottoms, and that's your trend line support. So as long as it's above support, you're okay.
Okay, we've had Harlan Pyan on, co-founder of All About Trends, jumping in with our bottom fishing theories here. Harlan, thanks for coming on. We'll talk to you again next week. And once again, your input is always valuable to our listeners. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Thanks, Harlan.